Ready? Everybody's phone's on silent. Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order of the North Lake County Hospital District on September 21st, 2023. Ms. Kirsty, would you do? Oh, we got to do the pledge first. I'm really, you said hurry. Come stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry about that. Can we just take a couple seconds for a moment of silence, please? Thank you. Ms. Kirsty, would you like to do roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Harper? Present. Ms. Hooper?
Here.
Mr. Hurley?
Here.
Ms. Price?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Presentation and approval of the minutes held on September 14th. Are there any additions or corrections to those? Anyone have any additions or corrections? I need a motion.
So move.
Second? I need a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. I need to see if anybody has any more funding requests?
Correct.
Is there anyone in the audience that has any additional funding requests? Amended funding?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do we have an amended funding allocation?
Based on the past tentative millage with the associated requested funding line items, yeah, we have one. And if there is a need to review it, I don't have a copy.
You don't have a copy? Is that what you have?
That is the 22-23 budget. Are we on 5 or 6?
No, we're on the amending funding allocation on number 5, which is this.
Okay.
Is that,
Your spreadsheet, no?
No. So the clinics had requested $824,700. The mental health and hospital clinics had requested $1.2 million. And those were left whole. And the board's just discussion last week, there were the acute care for Advent Health and UF Health were at $1.7 million. With a 0.25 tentative millage, including 100% of the surplus carry forward from 22-23, we would have a balanced and funded budget.
okay. Let me get my papers here. So now we need to do, that was the budget amendment, or just a amended funding allocation? Okay. Do we have any public comment on that? Do we have any public comment? I see none.
Wait a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to catch up a little bit. I listened to
Just please state.
my name is Paul Mueller. I live here in Tavares, raised here all my life, the whole 9 yards. I guess I got the proposed tax bill at .50, is that correct? And is that what you're talking about right now, the .50, or are you talking about a
It was
different number?
.4. Your millage on your tax trim notice was .4.
Okay,
0.5 was the prior year rate.
okay. And is that what you're talking about for the budget then, is the .40?
It was amended last week, and a tentative millage was set at 0.25 at last week's meeting.
Okay. Is there any way that, I guess that discussion is final then?
It's always subject to amendment until tonight. There needs to be a final millage and budget set this evening. But once a tentative millage is set, it can go down, but not up.
Right, that's what I knew. I didn't know that once it was in the till, I guess that, in the property appraisers, then it can not go up, but it can go down. And I know they had the presentations of everybody, and then y'all decided to bring it back down to .25, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And I think that's pretty permanent, I would think, right, Ralph? I mean,
That's subject to discussion. As he said, we can go from 0 to .25 right now.
I kind of look at the history from 2013 to all the way through last year, and I guess we did 1% or 1 rate factor through, and then I also was trying to take a look. I guess the vote was here about on 11/08/2016 when we approved keeping the North Lake County Hospital District. I guess there were about 57,770 votes for that. And it was kind of my opinion, everybody that I've talked to, that we tried to keep that rate at the 1% or something that would go along those lines. I understand I've gotten involved in this a little later than the process than a lot of people have. And so I was just hoping that at least keep the rate that was put in the till, the .40. Some of the savings on that, 10%. I think if you had a $150,000 house, the point is $60. You move that down to .25, that goes to $37.50. So as far as the amount of money that we'd be saving, or I as an individual taxpayer and everybody on my street, that's not a whole lot of money to change it. And I know that different organizations, the hospitals and the clinics, I know you very want to sponsor the clinics more than you do the hospital. But I think if you look around and see what's going on in our community, we do have a lot of people that need help. And I heard during some of the speeches that were made back in August that, let's not fund the hospital because they're a government entity and somebody will pay for that. The government will come in and pay them for the amount of money of their losses. I mean, what happens in every business, you all know it, Ralph knows it, anybody that's been in business knows it. You got to reinvest, and you got to have better products and better service. And the only way you can do that is the amount of money that you get in. You're going to get it from people that come in and buy your tires and do that kind of work. You need to think about, what's the cost of, when I get my tires repaired at Ralph's, what it was 3 or 4 years ago and what it is now. I bought one for a small mower I had, and I was a little surprised, but that was the price, so I paid it. And Ralph does a great job. He knows everybody in town. It looks like he's getting some good county business at his place. I see the trucks there and that type of thing. So at least and I want to thank Mr. Harper, who said he wanted to keep it at the 1% on the proposed, and you can go down, but that didn't pass. Anyway, I'd just like you to consider maybe keeping the rate at the .40 and giving the people a little bit more so they can do stuff, the clinics, the hospital. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Mueller. It's nice to see you. Now we're on the budget. Right. Budget amendment for 2022, 2023.
Correct. There was discussion by the trustees last week's meeting as to the purpose for the surplus and whether it could be used in the 2022, 2023 budget year that's ended based on any number of factors. I tried to provide some information individually to the trustees to represent what could happen. Those surpluses could be 100% carry forward into the 23-24 budget as in prior years, or also partially or wholly utilized, or not, I guess not wholly, partially utilized to fund some of the organizations that receive submittals in excess of their budget.
Thank you for sending that paper out to us. Was it yesterday or this morning? I can't remember. But
Last night.
that
I
was
don't know
it.
when you opened it.
It might have been midnight, I don't know, but thank you for sending that to us, Matt. So is there any, we have public comment on that also, is that correct? Any public comments? I see none. We'll go to the next tab.
Can I make a motion?
Oh, yes, sir.
You've got it. You don't go next tab yet.
Oh,
Haven't
sorry.
voted on that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Since we have about $1.3 million carrying over from last year. I'd like to make a motion that we increase the 22-23 budget by $109,900 in new budget expenditures so that we can cover all the submittals that were certified actual costs that the hospitals and clinics incurred.
Okay.
For clarification, that would be a reallocation of $649,000 of already budgeted funds and an additional $109,900 above the budget, the approved 22-23 budget.
It's money that's there. We don't have to change anything or raise any millage or anything like that. It's money that is there, and if we don't spend it, it will just continue to lay there.
Can I comment on that, on his?
Yeah, I was just going to make sure that everyone was on the same page too. There's a one-pager horizontal document in your packet that would show the 2022-2023 budget by entity, the submittals that were approved through the quarterly agreed-upon procedures performed by an independent CPA firm, Moore Stevens Lovelace, with the amount funded to the right of that, the listing of remaining budget for those who did not meet their budget through submittals. And then to the far right, there's a column showing those that did meet their budget and exceeded it, the amount of submittals over the budget line item. So the remaining budget, $649,279, the part of the discussion could be whether that is going to be reallocated to another organization based on submittals. And then as brought up by Truman, there is an additional $109,900 of submittals that were received beyond the budgeted amount. That his motion is to include that because of the surplus funds.
Motion.
On the floor, do we have a
Does
second, and
any-
then we have discussion.
Right. Any second
So
or
is
anything?
there, the 109,000, there's money available to be allocated?
Yes, sir, there's $1,300,000.
I remember that.
Yeah, $300,000 in
Was
change.
there a reason it wasn't allocated? I'm just kind of curious whether.
So there's carry forwards in the prior year rolling into that. Some organizations were below their targeted amount. The overhead expenditures were below the budgeted amount as well. So it's accumulation of prior year and current year under budget across the expense board.
So I'll second Mr. Hurley's motion.
Do you have your mic on? Okay.
And I will second Mr. Hurley's motion to increase the allocation for 109,000, whatever the amount is.
Where did you get the 109,000?
The 109,000 is the difference
Between these
between
two
on this
numbers.
form, the 759,000 and the 649,000. And the one more point of clarification before this goes to a vote is that the .25 budget that we discussed prior to this point would, with the allocation to the clinics and hospitals, would cover any use of the surplus funds from 22-23 in the 22-23 year would directly result in a decrease in available funds for the 23-24 year. So there would need to be a rebalance of those expense line items for the entities for 23 and 24.
Okay, so there's a first and a second, so we need a roll call vote, is that correct, Ms. Kirsty?
Yes, ma'am, unless you have any comment from the board at this time.
I do, but I don't know if it's
No,
appropriate
you
at this time.
you can make comment
Okay.
on amending the budget.
Okay, I propose, we have 1,300,000 surplus, correct?
That's correct.
Correct. And so that's what we had years ago when we went to zero, because there was already money taken out from the taxpayers. So I would propose that we still stay at the .25 millage and roll over that 1.3 million would be my proposal for the next taxing year. My proposal. So that's, anybody else have discussion, or?
Yeah, we're still in discussion.
Yeah. We're still on discussion of Mr. Hurley's. We had the first and the second. Anything else?
Your proposal, would that cover these submittals that weren't What
No.
what would we do with it in our budget?
It rolls over.
To do what?
The 1 million,
Just
3,
stay in the bank?
No, it goes to, it can, I'm sorry, Matt.
just wanted to clarify, I think you were on the right line anyway. The $1.3 million is currently in surplus funds that will either be used, as discussed in your amendment, or can be wholly carried forward into the 23-24 year to offset budgeted expenses in that period, which would include the clinic and entity care.
So to be clear, are you saying the 1.3 million would replace the 649,000? That would go to take care of that as well, and which would make it less of a budget surplus going forward?
No, sir, I'm saying we have a $1,300,000 surplus
Yeah.
that can be used to, we can offset that surplus by reallocating budget monies
Okay.
and/or increasing the budget to include the submittals in excess of budget.
Gotcha, okay, so that would take care of it.
And anything passed will reduce the funds available in the 23-24 budget, so we would need to revisit the budget line items by entity to make sure that we have a balanced budget.
So can I ask you another question then? Me, if I got this right, my notes. So if we were staying at the 0.25 today, and we allocated the surplus of 1.3 million, we would have a total of 7,900,000, or 95,210, whatever. Is that correct? It would be added to the bottom line of the 5 million?
The .25 millage provides tentative income for the year of $4,497,000, so an increase of $1.3 million, and the surplus carry forward would put us at $5,803,965.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Okay. So which is close to what we had already approved at the 0.25, is that correct? That's exactly,
That's correct.
any more discussion on that?
I'll pipe in. As I've said, my whole objection to this, the tax is based on principle. The ad valorem taxes should not be used to fund hospitals. The gray area for me is the clinics, because they do a very good job, and still, based on principle, I don't believe they should get it either. I think they should find other ways to get their resources like other organizations do. With that said, as I said last time, I believe in incrementalism. I'm not prepared to support giving the hospitals anything, to be very blunt about it. I'm okay with the 1.3 million if the board's willing to entertain reducing the millage again to 0.15, which would take care of everything that's being asked for. It would leave, I guess you call it basically crumbs for the hospital, and I'm sure they won't appreciate that. But the reality is, when the CEO of UF Shands told me he didn't believe that they should get that, the former CEO Ed Jimenez, it really validates my opinion on the matter. The point is, Mr. Braun, who I like very much personally, he said last year, he said, please don't take our money away. There seems to be a fundamental disagreement about whose money this is. The hospitals seem to think it's a yearly entitlement. The hospitals do very well, operating expenses over their costs. They have plenty of money, and they're not hurting. They're not going anywhere. And as Mr. Braun also said, and of course he said I misquote him a little bit, but he did say there would be nobody would be hurting as far as indigent care, and that's the whole stated purpose for this thing in the first place, as Mr. Beery said a couple of meetings ago when he read our mission statement. And for those that say, well, it was voted on, the vote in 2016 was, yes, it was for the continuation of the board, but also had the latitude to go from 0 to 1 mil. That means 0.1, 0.15, 0.25, 0.45, whatever. That's our decision on a year-by-year basis, or the people that are elected to represent the people in this county. And, like I say, I've stated from the get-go my thoughts on the matter. And, but like I say, I'm prepared to support everything the clinics need and roll that money over if the board's willing to go to 0.15.
What would that look like at 0.15? I don't have a calculator with me.
Sure, just an absolute zero expectation bottom line, meaning there would be no carry forward in the 23-24. A 0.15 millage would support the clinics, the mental health and clinic, and would leave $2.25 million available for hospitals
Just split between them?
to split between them if the 1.3 is carried forward. If that 1.3 is not carried forward, it leaves about $900,000 to split between them.
Thank you.
If I could just add another comment, talking about who the money belongs to. We were sent here to take care of the indigent care. So people who cannot afford insurance because of low wages, COVID, a runaway economy, whatever, the people who need this care, that's who this money belongs to. And I think we should make certain that it's there for them. We're talking about an 18-year-old girl who comes out of foster care, now has to set up a home and take care of herself. The best job she can get's waiting tables at Haystacks. And she can't afford insurance. We're talking about the mom whose husband left her with 3 kids and she has no job and no way to buy insurance. We're talking about the hard-working man with 4 kids doing lawn maintenance who can't afford insurance. That's who we're talking about. We're talking about the 59-year-old that was forced into retirement, can't get Medicare, but he needs health care. These people get sick, and they have to go to the hospital. And we talk about who this money belongs to. Well, by golly, it does not belong to us. It's not our money. We weren't sent here to lower taxes or save money. We were sent here to take care of indigent people when they have a need. That's our responsibility. It's our obligation. Yes, Mr. Braun did say that people without our money would still get care because it's mandated by the government, but he also added to that and said what kind of care they get is in question. If we can't afford to hire the best doctors, if we can't afford to hire the best nurses, if we can't afford the best equipment, you have to wait 3 months to get an MRI. You know, without money, the level of care is going to go down. And so, you know, it's our obligation. It's not what we want to do. We were sent here by 60% of Lake County, North Lake County residents to make sure that people get care who can't afford care when they need care. And so, you know, just sitting around here, I don't know. To me, it's just, it makes no sense that we don't care about these people and we don't want to take care of them. It's our obligation to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Hurley. And I'm not trying to come back at you, but you're saying that Mr. Braun said that if they don't get this, they won't be able to offer some of the same care or better care. So are we not getting better care right now? Is my question. What kind of care are we getting? Because the way it was read was that if the hospitals or whatever doesn't get this allotted funds, it will diminish the expertise of the doctors coming in. But I almost interpret it as we don't have the best right now. Is that correct? I mean, it's just a question. I mean, I'm not arguing with you. I just want to kind of clarify that do we not have the best doctors and the best staff now? I mean, is he putting down his staff at his hospital by saying if we don't get this allotted money for the indigent, and believe me, I'm for the indigent. I'm for both parties on this side of this desk. And I've said that before. But the way I interpret that is we must not have the best care now, the best of the best.
I don't know. I can't answer that
That's what
question.
is kind of confusing to me.
Madam Chair, if I may comment.
Mr. Smith.
Governor Scott, now Senator Scott, about 5 years ago, if you recall, because the one in South Lake was set up differently, ended that special taxing district. So the people in South Lake don't have to worry about this. To say that over long term that the care will diminish is really a slap in the face to the hospitals in South Lake County as well, because, or any other county in the state, which is probably about 95% of them right now, do not have special districts. So therefore, the indigent are getting subpar care at 95%, but Lake County and a handful of others that have it are giving better care. I think it's a false argument. I've called them in several lies. If you guys want to go on YouTube and look at it, there's a guy on the special roundtable Red Apples meeting, I said this last meeting, on there saying, well, we need the money for these enhancements in our area. And the interviewer very rightly asked him, he said, isn't this for indigent care? Well, yeah, but we use it to subsidize. So the fact is, this is a red herring. It should have been gone a long time ago. I hope our legislative delegation will end it once and for all. As I said, I do have a heart for the clinics. I want them to land softly. The hospitals do not have a problem, in my opinion, based on everything I've seen. And as I said, by the admission of one of the old CEOs, he thinks in principle that it's not a good idea for it to be took for ad valorem taxes. The problem with ad valorem taxes, as a matter of fact, I don't want to get out of our wheelhouse here, but that's a forced tax. There's a lot of people question these days, forcible taxation of property. I know we're not going to ever win that battle. Tolls and gas taxes, those are optional. You can buy gas and drive a lot, or not buy gas and drive a lot, or take the secondary roads. People have choices there. So, if there ever was a rationale for doing it, I'd much rather see it that way. But this is something that was set back in the 50s and 60s, and with all due respect to our parents and grandparents, we did a lot of things back in the 50s and 60s that weren't productive. And this is one of them. By the way, this was never voted on by the voters until, 6 years ago? And so to be quite frank, everybody talks about reparations. I think you can make a valid argument that reparations should be given to the citizens of Lake County, since this thing was never done through a referendum. Now, since then, it has been done, and that's why we have the latitude to change. And we weren't the first board to go from 1.0 down. This was the previous board went to 0.895, if you recall. So they saw the diminished need, maybe not to the extent this board has, but they saw diminished need coming. And at some point in time, this thing needs to go away, and hopefully the voters will decide in 2026 to finish it if our legislators don't do it.
I'd just like to say that I also support the clinics. Well, the light's on. Maybe I'm not talking to it. I'm sorry. I like to say that I do support the clinics, and I think it's very, very important. But why can't the hospitals do like we have to do and relook at your budget and reallocate the budget so that they don't have to have this money?
Do we have any public comment? Sorry. I see none. Okay, so we had a motion, we had a second on, I think we're still on Mr. Hurley's. So we need a vote,
I need a roll call vote.
okay? Can we state what we're voting on?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Hurley's motion, could you please repeat that for me down there?
It was for those amounts that were given in the packet to roll it forward.
Do you want to state it, Pat?
No, it's to use it now or to roll it forward?
It was to use it.
His motion, in summary, is to cover 100% of the submittals that were made in excess of the budget for the entities that met their budget in submittals. And that total is $759,179, which is inclusive of $109,900 that would be added to the budget as opposed to just reallocated.
Does everybody understand what the motion is?
Yes.
Okay, this is a roll call vote. Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. Hooper?
No.
Mr. Hurley?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
No.
Mr. Smith?
No.
Motion fails.
Okay.
With that in mind, if there are any further discussion about the carry forward or to be reallocated 22-23, now would be the time, because as we move forward, it is important to have a finite carry-forward number for our 23-24 board budget decision.
So we're talking about carrying forward the 1.3 million? To
Or
the 20
or reallocating it amongst 22, 23.
Okay. I would make a motion, can I make a motion? I would make a motion to go into 23-20, or 23-24. We would need a second motion on that. We're not setting the millage, we're just setting a motion to moving it forward.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen next year, so I agree. Let's move it forward.
Is that a second, Ms. Hooper?
That's a second, yes, thank you.
A roll call.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Harper?
So we're moving the allocated
1, 3.
reserve into the next
Yeah.
budget.
Yes, sir.
That's what the vote, the motion is.
I approve that, yes.
Ms. Hooper?
Yes,
Mr. Hurley?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Okay, so,
I think we need to approve line items amongst the entities as to what is going to be expended based on their request per our budget.
okay,
Currently, we have the clinics having requested $824,700. And the mental health hospital and clinic, $1.2 million. The hospital's request was greater than what this millage would allow for. So at the last meeting, with the discussion item that we included in this for discussion purposes, in order to balance the budget, it would leave, with the carry forward, it would leave about $3.4 million to be allocated amongst either the clinics, the mental health and clinic, or the hospitals. And any of those line items are up for change.
and that is with the .25, is that correct?
Correct. The .25 provides for 5.8, with the roll forward, $5.8 million in funds available. Overhead is expected to be $287,000, which would leave $5.5 million available to split amongst the clinics and hospitals.
Can you tell me again, I wrote what Mr. Smith had said, the .15, what was that allocation?
0.15 with the 1.3 million carry forward would provide $4,024,000 in funds available. Overhead would be expected at $237,000, which would leave $3.7 million to be split amongst the clinics, the mental health hospital and clinic, as well as the hospitals.
And that's including the 1.3 that roll over?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
$3.7 million to be split, did you say?
That's for all?
The total inflows of tax revenue plus the roll forward would provide $4 million in funds available, and after the $237,000 of overhead, there would be $3.7 million for the clinics and hospitals.
Sorry, just doing some math.
I have to go back to here.
Okay. Ms. Kirsty, will you read, is it line item 10 on our agenda?
Actually, it's a recitation for the record, please.
Okay.
The name of the taxing authority is the North Lake County Hospital District. The rollback rate at the moment is the rollback rate is .4534 mils. The levy of .25 mils represents a decrease in the property tax levy of a negative 44.86% over the rollback rate of .4534 mils.
Okay.
And the-
Oh.
Get a motion a second about title number.
Why does mine look different than yours?
Printed the most recent.
Oh, hold on just a second. Oh, here. No, it's the same one I have. I think. So we are on, right, we just did this, so we're,
We were doing this.
okay. So do you want to, we need to make a motion to waiver the reading of the entire proposed
I need a
resolution?
motion and a second to read by title only the resolutions 2023-01 and 2023-02. I need a motion and a second to read by title only, please.
A motion only, to just read by title.
I'll make the motion that we just read by title.
Need a second?
It'll be seconded.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? I hear none.
Resolution 2023-01, resolution of the North Lake County Hospital District providing for the adoption of the millage rate for the 2023-2024 fiscal year.
Okay. Now we're doing the hearing of public comments. Are there any public comments on resolution number 2023-01, setting the millage? I'll say it one more time, just to be safe. Are there any public comments on the resolution number 2023-01, setting millage? I see none. Okay. Okay, we are now on the board action on setting the millage rate. Do we, discussion, open discussion first?
You have to have a motion and a second
of Okay.
something, and then you have
Okay, we need a motion of, I guess, what someone would want as a millage, is that correct?
Correct.
Need a motion?
Madam Chairman, I'm going to make a motion to set a millage at .15.
I need a second?
I'll second.
Do we need a roll call vote?
Yes, ma'am, we do. Mr. Harper?
No.
Ms. Hooper?
Aye.
Mr. Hurley?
No.
Ms. Price?
I'm going to have to go with yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Any discussion on the matter?
Who's going to determine how this reallocation of funds is going to be allocated to each entity?
So we would,
How's that done?
I guess, would we vote on funding the clinics and then split the difference between the hospitals?
Trustees have the responsibility to set those line items, however that shakes out.
Exactly.
And when will that be facilitated?
Tonight?
Now,
Hopefully momentarily.
Tonight. Yep. So is there any discussion on the motion to go to .15?
Haven't we already voted on it?
did we already vote on it?
Yeah, we did vote on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We did a roll call. Sorry.
I'll make a motion, we fully allocate all the clinics as we've talked about, and give the remainder to the hospitals.
Well, it looks like right now that mental health hospital is going to get
1.2. And what did they, let's see, did they go over budget?
Total clinic request was $824,700. Mental health and.
Mental health was 1.2. So it's a little over 2 million. And you're playing with over 4 million.
I would only request clarification as to whether we want to zero out the budget to where we would expect no surplus funds, or whether there would be some sort of a minimum holdback at the very end of the year to cover any unexpected costs.
If I may add to my motion, I'll make a motion, we hold back 500,000 and split the difference after fully funding the clinics and Livestream, and split the difference between the two hospitals. If my calculations are right, that should give them about 700,000 each.
And this year, we had we held out, what, 1 million? Was it, or was that a surplus from the year before?
It's inclusive of a surplus from the year before, as well as current year under budget items.
Mhm.
If you'll allow me to finish this calculation, I'll be able to more finite with the numbers. Okay. With the motion clarified to keep a $500,000 expected fund balance at the end of the year, that would fund the clinics at $824,700, which is their full request. It would fund the mental health facility at $1.2 million, which is their full request, and leave $631,228 to Advent Health, and the same amount, $631,228 to UF Health Leesburg.
So we need to do a discussion if that's what,
Well, I made a motion. I think somebody needs to second it, right?
well, I was thinking because we had the breakdown.
Yeah.
That Matt gave us the final breakdown of how that could be done.
I just provided that so that there could be a full and complete motion.
Clarification.
Is that how
Yeah,
you
I'm making
amended
the
your vote?
motion based on the numbers Matt gave. That's why I said about 700,000 net per
Okay,
hospital.
we have an amended
So,
motion. Now we
okay.
need a second.
I'll second.
Roll call? Or just,
So,
Oh.
yeah, let's do a little more discussion. So, Matt, run through the allocations for me one more time, so everybody's clear.
Yes, sir. Clinics have requested $824,700. This motion would fully cover the $824,700. Mental health clinic, which would be Livestream, has requested $1.2 million. This motion would fully cover their $1.2 million request. With the remainder, with an expected remaining fund balance of $500,000, we would then be funding the hospitals at $631,228 each.
and that's with 500,000 reserves, correct?
That's correct.
Have we ever had a problem with not having reserves? I mean, I don't want to go take the reserves away, but is 500,000 seem ample?
I think that would be plenty. Probably would create a pretty big surplus again. Then I think that would be more than enough.
And the operating overhead that's already factored into there.
Yes, sir, and that does fluctuate based on their millage rate and what we collect and what the fees are associated with those collections are. So yes, that's all been factored in.
Just for my clarification, because I really don't know, but why is a mental health hospital worth twice as much as a regular hospital?
Well, in the past, Livestream, I personally think that, and you had stated this earlier, that we have a very need for mental health to help them. And so I'm perfectly fine with giving Livestream the 1.2 million so they can accomplish helping the mental health, because that's what we see. I see it every day when I'm driving. I see it every day. And I think that they play a large, I think that the mental health, I think having Livestream as an active entity in the hospital board is millage rate is I think that's.
I see heart attacks and cancer and all kinds of things that
I do
kill
too.
people
I do too.
every day.
I see it, I understand it. My concern is what I already told you, is the way I interpreted Mr. Braun is, do we not have the best of the best already? And is this money banking on that we are maybe going to get the best of the best? I would like to hope that we have the best of the best already in our community. I mean, we've seen our hospitals. I see it all the time. I get emails that say that, this hospital just got the best doctor right now. Make your appointment to come visit him, set an appointment. So I would like to think that we already have the best of the best here.
Well, and last year, we gave them $2.7 million, and this year, we're going to give them 600. Something's going to change.
May I comment? The hospitals, $631,000 of them is chump change, okay? They probably paid their CO twice that. The bottom line is Livestream depends on this in large part, and their needs, their people are truly largely indigent, okay? Because that's where our police take the people who are having issues, if you will. They can't incarcerate them in a general population.
To the regular hospital.
Yeah, but what I'm saying you have all the payers, the insurance companies that take care of this, and Livestream is a local. I liken it more to a clinic than a hospital. It's very necessary because where do you put the people that are? I've had them at my shop. I had one guy beating on the hood of a car, bleeding like crazy out of his nose. What do you do with that guy? Throw him in jail, and they can't take him to the nice emergency room down at Waterman or the Shands, so that's kind of where they take the folks that are really having problems. So, yeah, I do think they're far more necessary and important. Like I said, my issue is principle-based. I wish there was another way they get funding, but that is a big part of their money, whereas the $631,000 for organizations like Shands and Advent Health is like, pocket change, relatively speaking.
And also, we can't forget that all of these entities can go to our Lake County delegations and ask for appropriations.
True.
Through the session. All of them can.
Yeah.
And if our delegation, if appropriations come to our county, and an entity will, if they refuse it, guess what? It's going to go to another county in the state of Florida. So there's always that can happen where they can, and the state, the taxes are coming from the state also, but they can. Any of these entities can go to our delegation and ask for appropriations money in the next budget in session. So there's always many options. I don't know what else.
I'd just like to see you divide that up equally between the three hospitals. Instead of 1.2 million to one hospital and 600,000 to two other hospitals.
And let's see, Livestream, they were short. Livestream still had 354,000 left over this year. I'm surprised at that, to be honest. Very surprised, because they've usually went right in line with budget. I actually was kind of surprised that there were several of the entities asking for funds that didn't hit their budget from. Yeah, I was.
Yes, they're right. They were saying last year they only used
850,000
out of the 1.2.
Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Hurley, you do have a point there. I just. Oh. Do we have public comment? Anyone? No? Okay.
Well, the gentleman in front of her.
Oh, okay. State your name.
My name's Andrew Wampler. I'm the Vice President of Finance for Central Florida Health here in the area. The 2.7 million does a lot of good for the patients in North Lake County. That is not the only amount of money and care that we give to indigent patients of just North Lake County. That's how much we submit to you guys. It costs us money to go through and get the paperwork, get those people qualified to meet the regulations to get the money. We probably give almost 4 or 5 million some years in care for indigent patients of North Lake County. We're not going to submit that much money because it costs us money to submit all that paperwork to you guys. So now we're going from 4 million of care, we're getting reimbursed for 2.7, now we're going to get reimbursed for 6. So yes, we are bound by law to give care to indigent. If we're going to treat Medicare patients and Medicaid patients, by law, we have to treat indigent patients. There are hospitals in this state that get by with not doing that because they're for-profit hospitals. We are a non-for-profit hospital, so we rely on Medicare. We rely on Medicare patients coming to our hospital. 80 to 85% of our patients are that. So we have to take care of those indigent patients, just like Phil said. But this still costs us money. It's not like we're just, doing it for free. You guys run businesses. If you don't get paid for that, you're going to have to make changes. And it's not going to be that we can keep, replacing equipment. We can keep having the latest and greatest technology when it comes out. We're going to have to make decisions on that stuff. We do it every year already. So, I just wanted to let you guys know that it's not just the 2.7 that we give care to indigent patients every year. It is way more than that.
Thank you. Any more discussion?
Yeah, so Ms. Price, so looking at last year's expenditures as you pulled up on this sheet here, shows that their budget in live stream was only
Yeah.
850,000. Not knowing what their expenditures look like this year, but they didn't spend what they requested last year. We want to reallocate those funds to the 3 live stream and 2 hospitals. And do a 50%, do a split between the 3 of them.
I don't think you're turning on here.
Oh, you're not.
Okay,
Sorry.
some people can hear me. Do we have a motion already out here
Yeah,
on
we
this?
do. Yeah.
And we're rebuttaling it, correct?
We're just having this.
Discussion.
We have a
We're having
motion and a
discussion
second.
on the motion.
Okay.
Yeah, another key piece of information here is the North Lake Hospital District, and this is North Lake. This is Livestream. And Livestream participate with the LIP program, and the expected LIP payment for this upcoming fiscal year is $766,240. And that LIP funding allows them to pull down funds, I believe, from the state level. So the LIP agreement, intergovernmental transfer, could not be whole if we dip below the $766,000 that has been requested as part of the LIP payment for the upcoming fiscal year.
Is that allocation to each hospital, or what's that?
That's the live stream.
That's just Livestream.
Yeah.
So I don't really think we can go down, or they won't be able to do the LIP.
That's correct. If you dip below that, we would not be able to fully participate.
But if we were at like 850, you're still good.
That was a yes. Sorry.
Yes.
I was-
Sorry, that was a
sorry, I
silent
haven't
yes.
Yeah, we
Yes,
need to hear
it's
it
a-
probably, yeah.
That's a yes.
Thank you.
So that would allocate another to $350,000 we could share with the other 2 hospitals.
That's correct.
So,
Can you do the numbers, Matt? Can you run the numbers for us if we did it that way? And it,
about 949,000, I think, somewhere around there.
If we fully fund the clinics at $824,700 and we reduce the mental health hospital, the live stream, to $850,000 in order to remain at $500,000 in surplus at the end of the year, that would be $806,228 through each of the hospitals split evenly, or 1.612 million.
On the last motion, we had kind of in discussion, is there, if we want to revisit that motion, how do we go about that? And who, was it Barbara, did you make the motion?
I'll have to amend the motion.
You have to amend it.
Yeah. And in the sake of unanimity, because my main goal is to get the millage rate for the taxpayers down, I have no problem doing exactly that, amending my motion to fit that need where the hospitals would get 806,000 and Livestream would get, what was it, 850? If that's all they're going to need.
Yes, sir. If you're amending the motion, I'll clarify the numbers one more time in totality.
Yeah.
With a 0.15 mil, based on the overhead and the allotted funding plus the surplus carry forward, and we would fund the clinics at $824,700, the live stream or the mental health facility at $850,000, and each hospital at $806,228. And if we meet our budget, then we'll have a surplus and carry forward opportunity of $500,000.
Okay, I'll amend my motion to fit those numbers if I can get a second.
I will second that motion.
Roll call.
Roll call. Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. Hooper?
Aye.
Mr. Hurley?
Aye.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I don't even know where we are on this paper. Board action on resolution, motion to adopt a millage rate separate vote. Is that, I think that's where we are, even though we've done the. Okay. Okay. Hearing, are we doing public comments or we've already
We
asked
already
that?
did public
Yep, okay.
comments.
Board action on resolution 2023-02, motion and adoption of budget by separate vote.
And I have to read the title. Resolution of the North Lake County Hospital District providing for the adoption of the proposed budget for 2023-2024 fiscal year.
Do we have any public comment on the budget? Do we have any comment on the public budget? I see none. Okay. We did that. Okay. We have to make a change up here, so hold on, please.
Ms. Meredith,
Yes, sir.
is it possible for me to change my vote?
Yes, sir.
I just cannot support a 0.15
Yes, sir.
millage rate.
Motion still carries, but you may change your vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would it be best if I read the details of the resolution? Okay. Now, excuse me, now therefore, be it resolved as follows. The North Lake County Hospital Board of Trustees hereby adopts total operating budget expenditures and carry forward of $4,024,877 for 2022 and 2023. The adoption budget represents a decrease in expenditures and carry forward of 70% from last year's budget. This resolution shall take effect October 1st, 2023.
Would you mind just stating those figures one more time, please? The carry.
The entire budget plus carry forward is $4,024,877. The decrease of the expenditures and carry forward over the prior year budget was 70%.
Thank you.
Okay. No, there's no public comment. Okay, I need did I not see that? A motion for adoption of the budget.
So move.
I need a second.
A second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Harper?
Matt, run that scenario by me one more time.
Yes, sir. It is a total budget plus expenditures plus carry forward of $4,024,877 for the 2023-2024 budget year, which would represent a decrease in 70% of this budget compared to prior year's budget.
Mr. Harper?
Yeah, I'm having the,
I'm sorry, is that a yes, or are you thinking?
I'm thinking.
Okay, that's fine.
Seemed like an awful big hit to our budget that we worked hard on for our community. No.
Ms. Hooper? Mr. Hurley?
No.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-2.
Do you need to do the letters of agreement, or that's for me to sign or something?
No, we need to bring those up.
Up, okay.
Next item on the agenda are the low-income pool letters of agreement. There's one for Advent Health Waterman, one for Lifestream Behavioral Health, and one for Leesburg Regional Medical Center. Does anyone have any questions of what this letter of agreement does? We've had these in years past where we agree to send the funds up to the state, up to the totals not to exceed the amounts in the letter of agreement in order for them to get additional funding. Are there any questions regarding the letters of agreement?
So this number we have on the first agreement, it's just, does not exceed this amount, is really what this is agreeing to, correct?
That is correct.
I'll make a motion to do that.
I'll second.
Do we need a roll call?
I don't need a roll call. I
Oh, you
just,
don't? Okay.
All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
all those opposed?
Opposed?
Okay.
No.
You'll have the authorization to sign the letters of agreement.
Do we have any new business? Oh,
The legislation enacted, a Florida statute becomes effective that is going to affect our organization, requiring a performance review beginning with the fiscal year October 1st, 2023. And these have to be conducted at least every 5 years. We have a outstanding call to the Auditor General of the State of Florida's office to get a better understanding as to what the performance review is and to clarify that we truly are included in this Florida statute requirement. We have been receiving solicitations for those, for that work. So in the event that it is a requirement of the board, I would ask to be authorized to discuss with the organizations that can perform these services to get a general idea of what to expect so that we can have a fruitful conversation about it at our next trustee meeting, which I believe is scheduled for January.
And Matt, would you be able to get an idea of the cost exposure to that?
Yes, sir.
In those meetings?
I hope to
Okay.
educate the board on all of that, what the requirements are, obviously whether we're required to perform them, and then what an expectation for what that cost could be.
and you have the Florida statute late on this paper, correct? Is that the Florida statute that you're referring to?
It's Florida Statute 189.0695 regarding performance reviews.
That's correct.
I'll be glad to send you copies of it if you'd like.
I would like one.
Okay,
Yeah, you might as well send it to the board.
I will.
And Matt, you were asking for permission. Do we need to make a motion for that or just?
Motion.
We do.
Should we make a motion? I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. Any other matter necessary to achieve our aforementioned goals tonight?
Madam Chair, I got one request. It's, I started to say it's a minor thing, but I don't think it really is. One thing that bothers me in public meetings like this and others is we thank God we do pledge allegiance to the flag, but we have this, I think it's a ridiculous moment of silence. It used to be you had prayers, you'd have a minister, pastor, deacon, somebody come in, say a short prayer asking for God's blessings and wisdom and guidance. I have a godly pastor sitting right next here to me. I think it's a waste of his abilities. And if Truman's not here, we can certainly get people if we ask them. I think it's just lazy to do that. I'm not faulting you at all because, it's just something that we don't think about till it's too late. So I'd just ask as chair, because you'll chair our next meeting, when's that, in January? And, beyond that, I guess it'll be up to the next chair, but if we could do that, and if Mr. Hurley's here, I think he'd be great if we could have a prayer instead.
I 150% agree.
Thank you.
We all say yes.
Do we need to vote on that? Or is that
Make
just-
a motion, or is it okay just to have it?
I think that's the chairman's choice, right? So,
Yeah, I prefer that actually
Okay.
over a moment of silence. Thank you.
Here's the guy.
Just a reminder, the
Are you
next,
okay with that, Mr. Hurley?
I'm okay, yes.
Thank you.
He practices every Sunday. Probably the other days, too.
the next meeting is scheduled for January 18th, 2024. Will be held at 5:30 in this room, and that will be our annual meeting.
Look, real quick, the pool letters for all three of them were accepted, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That was authorizing Mrs. Price to sign everything
Okay.
and for the funds to go up.
Okay.
Meeting adjourned.